buy gold without needing to export cocoa or oil or diamonds or timber. We just buy the gold locally. That is what we have that many countries don't have. It's just something that many countries don't have that opportunity to do so. So I then came up with that idea that let's do, instead of, since we don't have forex at the bank to pay for from doom. So, but we have kept the lights on for 8 years. Teacher trainees were suffering. We've restored their teacher trainee allowances. Nursing trainees were suffering. We've restored their allowances. People who were using the NHIS had major issues. The people who had sickle cell were suffering because the hydroxyurea, which was really needed and wasn't covered by the NHIS. Today it is covered by the NHIS. Today kidney dialysis is covered, as well as childhood cancer was also covered. You also see that for the people, the issue of rent advance, the National Rental Assistance Scheme has come in to really help in that. During COVID, we gave free water for a year, free electricity. For people in the rural areas and remote areas, we brought in medical drones to deliver medicines, vaccines, blood across 2,694 health facilities. And even recently, when there was flooding because of rain in the farm plains, we had to get the drones to take examination papers over there, which were not initially. Parents have now had the benefit of free SHS for 8 years, have had the benefit of free TVET, and therefore the suffering of a lot of parents in paying fees has also reduced. School feeding, when we were coming in 2016, only 1.6 million children benefited from school feeding. Today, 4 million children are benefiting from school feeding, more than double. We have also absorbed the examination fees for all students, for BEC and WACC examinations. And then, as I said before, we've doubled the number of student loan recipients from 30,000 to 58,000. We've introduced the no guarantor student loans. A lot of students who were suffering, looking for guarantors, now just need their Ghana card and they will get it. You know, so we've done quite a bit we brought in one constituency, one ambulance, and we procured the ambulances for many of our constituencies or many of our districts. And also, if you look at the small and medium enterprises who had major problems in accessing funding, we've provided funding over the last 8 years to 444,000 SMEs, 1.4 billion Ghana cedis, which has been quite significant by any account and very historic in that regard. So I think that yes, the suffering is there, but we've done a lot of social interventions to ameliorate that suffering. It's not gone, but at least we can point to things that have gone in to reduce the suffering of our people. I mean, even renewing National Health Insurance card was a problem. Just to renew it, many people had to go and sleep. I know in my constituency, people had to go to the NHI office and sometimes sleep for 3 days before they could renew National Health Insurance membership. But today, you just sit in your home and renew. Today, you sit in your home and buy electricity credit. You don't need to take trotro or taxi and go somewhere else to do it. So we've done quite a bit to reduce the suffering of people, even though, of course, it is not complete. We still have more to do, and we'll continue. So the other question, which is a nice one, Vanessa was asking, if the fundamentals are weak, the exchange rate will expose you, which is a truism. It was true then, and it's still true today. It's an economic truism that once the fundamentals weaken, reserves, level of the reserves, that you have inflation, and so on. When we came into office, during the first term before we hit COVID, between 2017 and 2019, you saw the fundamentals pretty much strengthening by all accounts. And the exchange rate depreciated in those 3 years by less than 5%. That was the lowest depreciation in the currency for 28 years. 28 years. That was the lowest depreciation of the currency. I think we went up, even after COVID, we didn't get that high a depreciation. But the biggest shock for the economy came in 2022. All hell was breaking loose in 2022. Inflation, 54% as at November 2022. Exchange rate had depreciated at 54%. And of course you could look at the fundamentals were in trouble at that time. You saw the fiscal deficit going up, you saw inflation going up, growth declining. And so for me, it wasn't surprising, even though it was shocking, the extent to which the exchange rate went. So the point that we are making is that once the fundamentals weaken, you will get it shown in the exchange rate. And this is why we have seen that recently, even though we're depreciating in November at 54%, this year the depreciation has been 18.6% so far, right? We're looking at about 18.6%. So you're looking at a situation this year. Why is the depreciation lower? Because the fundamentals have strengthened. The fiscal deficit is under 5%. We are running a primary surplus. Growth has gone up first quarter to 4.7%, higher than projected. The reserves are increasing, and the goal for oil program is helping. So as the fundamentals and inflation today is around 20%. So there's been a strengthening of the fundamentals, and you've also seen more relative exchange rate stability. In all of this, and I want you to take this away. When I looked at what was happening in 2022, the 54% depreciation of the cedi, it was very scary. In fact, in 2022, this economy was on the verge of collapse, because you saw our reserves declining very steeply. The exchange rate was blowing up, inflation was up, and my worry at that time, frankly, was that I could see this country moving towards Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka was what was clearly in my mind at that time, because you saw protests in Sri Lanka. They had no fuel. Dumsor was there. And when you saw the way our reserves were moving in 2022, we were heading right in that direction, that we're going to get queues on the street. We couldn't buy fuel. We couldn't pay for so many things. And it is in that context that I came up with two policies. One was the gold for oil policy and the gold purchase program of the Bank of Ghana. Because when I looked at it, sometimes when they say necessity is the mother of invention, because when I looked at it, we were headed for disaster, But I made the case. I looked at the numbers, and I said, well, how are we going to get foreign exchange to buy fuel in this declining reserves? And then